All right, what's up, crypto junkies? Jay coming at you, and you're here to get informed. And today we are talking about ETFs, and specifically Bitcoin ETFs. So there's been quite a few people who have asked me what's going on with Bitcoin ETFs, as well as I've been monitoring some conversations in different groups and channels, and it's a little concerning, the lack of understanding like what this actually means. So I'm hoping that this video helps, and feel free to share this around with your friends or people who maybe don't understand how this stuff works, because just like futures, who I was one of the people who was parading that around and like, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I was just ignorant, and I can admit that to myself. So I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't look at historic data. I didn't see how it influenced other commodities, and since Bitcoin is considered a commodity, I just really didn't know. So let's start all the way at the beginning. What is an ETF? It's an exchange traded fund. And then we have ETNs, which I've also been asked about. Those are similar. Those are exchange traded notes. So a fund is basically, think of a centralized guy or a centralized institution that is a custodian. So they own a shitload of physical Bitcoin. Well, it's not physical in this case, but they hold the keys. They hold a bunch of Bitcoin, and you are buying a share of their piggy bank. And it is giving you a piece of paper that is saying you're a part of this gig. Now, this leads to a ton of actual problems in the ecosystem, almost dividing the marketplace instantly between sophisticated buyers and non-sophisticated buyers. And I think it will be different than gold and silver and what we've seen there, but we'll get more to that. Anyway, that's what an ETF actually is. There are some dates up on the chopping block. I think that's the most relevant place to start. It is now the 18th. For me, I'm a day ahead of a lot of you guys in the United States. CBOE is the next one that is bumped up on a pushed out date. So they've been extending this. The ones that I hear the most chatter about is VanEck and Solid X. So these are the second deadlines for these two. And I will say that I think the landscape has definitely changed. So it's three. It's CBOE, it's VanEck, and Solid X. I think the landscape has definitely changed a little bit. We see the SEC going after ICOs and setting precedents there. There's actual legislation now that's gone through on this. We have precedents with recent cases going through. So it's a little bit different of a ball game, and I want to talk about like if it goes through and if it doesn't go through. Okay, my personal opinion is that I don't think it will be a good thing, and the reason why is because we're taking something that has a limited supply, 21 million overall Bitcoin, right? We got a halving coming in 2020, or a halving coming, however you want to pronounce it, coming in 2020. This is taking that limited supply and essentially stretching it. Now, that does bring in mass adoption, and it does bring in a lot of people that want to dabble, that have never touched this Bitcoin stuff. They don't want to jump in balls deep, and they just want to dabble. So I think that that is a great part of it. I don't like, the centralized aspect. I think that's a big deal. They'll be able to swing their weight on forks and other important decisions, and really the future of a lot of things within the crypto space, because they're a major holder. They will be a custodian of a shitload of Bitcoin, and they've been accumulating this, getting ready. Understand this, guys. They've been in the background doing this. They've been in the background getting all the patents together on blockchain technology. They've been in the background buying up Bitcoin on all these dips. And the first vehicle that they introduced, and the first mechanism that they introduced to allow them to do this, was the futures contracts, which was brought in back in December. We'll talk more about that in just a couple minutes. So yeah, we've got some big dates coming up, right? And I've accumulated a little thread here. It didn't start as like being a long thread. It should have. I thought of this like after the fact of me just kind of stating my opinion. And so now I've just thrown together some relevant information for you guys. Another important date to keep in mind is that we have Mt. Gox creditors meetings starting on the 26th of this month. And we just had a sleepy wallet of over $700 million worth of Bitcoin wake up. So there's some interesting things going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Let's talk more. Okay, so why do people want ETFs? Well, it's not maximalists by any means. It's more retail money, and a lot of it has to do with guys who bought the tops and are pissed off, and they just want to make some money, and they don't really give a about Bitcoin. They don't care what it stands for. They might be mad and big brother this, big brother that, but they don't actually care and or they do care, but they're still falling for the same illusion that they think money is going to solve all their problems. So in that sense, I still categorize them in the same place, which is they don't care. And then on the other side, we have maximalists, which are defending with their blood, sweat, and tears really the direction of what happens with a lot of these early projects like Bitcoin, right? Let's give some relevant examples, and I want to give examples on both sides, okay? The very first gold ETF, I had to dig around for this, was March 3rd, 2003, and gold continued on a 473% or so incline since then, and it's obviously leveled off and come down and capitulated, gone through accumulation zones. Like we're way zoomed out on a 1 week, so this is all looking really choppy when in fact it's much bigger motion. So it has come down quite a bit from those all-time highs of 1900, and we are right in a 12, I believe just over 1200 right now. That's what we saw happen with gold. With silver, I have the dates were a lot harder to find and it was annoying, but we have the first one supposedly being a Canada-based fund and an iShares, and that happened through 2006. So if we go back to 2006, let's just grab the beginning of the year, and we have a solid date on ZKB silver ETF, which is in May of 2007, but again, not a specific date. And so let's just grab and we'll chalk up a line right here. And I want to make the biggest disclaimer here that the ETF we can't be sure that that dictated this price action. We just know that that then happened. And so I think that's fair. Going both ways with it is that we don't know if it caused one way or the other. So altogether, this has been a 546% increase. You saw we almost had 100% retracement back in 2008, and now we've come down quite a bit. And so if we were to look at the median gain here of this whole thing, I believe am I pulling from the right line? I am not. 500% still looks pretty good, right? And this is like, look at this over a long period of time here. And if we look at our current, it is 74%, which I mean, some people were seeing that back through last September to December in any altcoin, name your altcoin. We were seeing this on a weekly basis. So it just proves that, you know, our crypto market and Bitcoin itself is more volatile than gold and silver, but it's the closest thing we have to compare against, right? So we don't have a consistent, yes, this was a crazy success story. ETFs were introduced and it went to the moon. And I know that for some reason that's being perpetuated through retail money. There's a lot of people with some really toxic beliefs, I feel like, in crypto that are doing really dumb things with taking out loans and overextending themselves and not really realizing the ramifications of that, and then staying in too long and not being able to pay off those debts. So let's look at, it's not all rainbows, right? So now I want to look at futures, because futures are different than ETFs, but they are a centralized institutional idea brought into Bitcoin, which is a decentralized bank killer. Okay, that was the whole point of this thing. With futures, we see things went the other way, which, by the way, here's the very first ETF rejection, was March 10th, 2017. There's a 38% price spread on the daily candle up until, I think, like the 24 to 48 hours up until that, which we always see in crypto. We always see a pump. And then there was a huge volume on that day. Price climbed a few days after, but it had declining volume, which is an indication that it's going to turn. And then after 10 days slowdown, the price dumped, and then it rallied to over 20K. So was the ETF rejection a cause of this rally? Again, we don't have definitive proof of that. So the future contract dates, I believe, are the 17th and 21st. Even though I have them both on the 17th, I believe. No, I do have the 17th and the 19th. I don't know. There's conflicting dates. It's either the 17th and the 21st or like the 10th and the 17th. Who cares? It directly affected price action like the next day when CME futures actually launched, because I remember CBOE kind of went under the radar and it was really quiet. I was actually in the markets. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was one of the guys waiting for, you know, the next big run up, and it did the exact opposite. And now if you look, these are all the expiration dates that I have mapped out. And in this red line here is 3 ETFs rejected, 1 postponed. And we see some of the fallout from that is the market cycles are behaving and being affected heavily by, with Bitcoin specifically, by ETFs and futures dates, okay? So we can't deny that. It will come into play. I think in the long run, it will not be a good thing that everyone thinks it will be, and it'll be more similar to futures. and it'll be tying up and centralizing more of the assets, which I thought that's why we were all in this. I thought that it was our way of kind of saying enough is enough with centralized banking, bank accounts and their piddly interest rates, taxation, fees, just all of it. The rules that apply to them over there but don't apply to you and me. So that's what I thought we were kind of fighting for with this. You know, that's how I see Bitcoin. And so I see it beyond this price action, and I see it beyond a comparison to the US dollar value. But anyway, that's, you know, that's my opinion. So that's what we have going on. Those are the dates to keep in mind, and we'll see what happens. I definitely think there will be a pump up until, like, leading into it based on the decision. I think there is a strong case. I've listened to you know, a few podcasts and interviews now. I think there's a strong case that ETFs will go through this time. If not, we'll have another chance at those in early 2019. Regardless, they will go through. And regardless, ETNs will go through as well, and we'll further be stretching out something that is supposed to be limited into something that becomes unlimited. With this, I think it will behave much differently than silver and gold, but I guess the biggest case with silver and gold is that a lot of people believe that the ETFs and the futures is the direct impact, that had direct impact of manipulation on the price of gold and silver. Even right now, as I shoot this, gold and silver should not be at the prices they are right now. With the way fiat is performing, fiat being a currency and gold and silver being an actual money, right now we should not be seeing these low prices. Now, I do believe that we are getting ready to see a rally in gold and silver through the tail end of 2018, 2019 it'll continue to happen, and in 2020. I think there's going to be something big that happens in 2020 around a lot more of the global currencies. Bitcoin, I think, will still be around, obviously, and I think Bitcoin will see some serious price action as well. It just so happens that that fits perfectly in with the next halving or halving date, which is 2020. So it's May 20th or May 21st of 2020. And so, yeah, those are the dates to keep in mind, and that's really what's going on with that. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, not like it does anything, but hey, I figured I'd ask anyways, and place a comment. Let me know your thoughts on all this, and if you think this will help out friend or family, share it around, help us spread the message on so that people are informed what's going on with this stuff. Thanks so much, and be on the lookout for more training coming onto the channel soon.